Hello and welcome to the Farmer's Kitchen. Hello, Mrs. Farmer.
Mr. Farmer, how are you?
You know what? We're busy today.
Yes, we
This
are.
has been a long day. I mean, a really long
It
day
is.
because we've got wonderful things behind us. It
You've
takes a
been
while
canning.
for it to get there. Now, today we're going to show you a couple of things. We're going to show you how to can some fish. All right, what happens when you go out and have a really successful day fishing? Say you go out and you catch your limit of white bass,
Right.
hybrids, striper. That's a whole lot of fish.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe your freezer, our freezer, is overloaded. We still got to get a half a pig in there.
Yeah, we do.
So what do? Now we've showed you how to can venison. Your papa,
Yes. He likes to do
Wild
that.
Bill. We did something with him years and years and years ago. But I'm going to update you on canning fish. There are no shortcuts. And if you really look in depth at it, I would rather go pints than quarts because a pint is a whole lot of fish.
Yeah.
Now, depending on how you use this fish, you can use it in chowders.
Right.
It's really good in a chowder. You can use it in sandwiches. You can make mayonnaise and make your
yeah.
sandwiches, so on and so forth.
Or eat it right out of the jar.
You can eat it right out of the jar. Think about a smoked canned fish like the kippers that we get.
Love those.
Think about the smoked trout. We could do that.
Right.
We could can trout.
Good idea.
Salmon. Some people down the road who we're going to need to visit are growing tilapia, and they grow
Good fish.
vegetables as well. So we're going to take some of that. Be careful with your store-bought tilapia. Know where it comes
Right.
from.
Right.
Know what it was fed, so on and so forth. Now, last week the kids were here. They about killed us.
We survived.
We chased them around and just
Right. No sleep.
we realized that we're just
Too old for
too
kids.
old for kids. But the grandkids are wonderful because
They
we
are.
can take them back.
That's right.
We can give them caffeine and chocolate, wind them up, send them back, and everything's good.
They had fun. They cried when they went home.
They
They're
did.
gonna
They
miss
did
us.
have fun.
Yeah.
We went fishing.
We did.
The last day, they wanted to go fishing so bad, so we took them fishing. You know what? We had a great time.
We did.
We'll show you a little bit of that trip right here.
Oh yeah! I helped you.
He helps you, Papa.
Now, they both caught their first bass.
They did.
Which was fantastic.
They were excited.
I talked to Sammy, you know, kids love bows and arrows and things like that.
Right.
Now, we talked about bow fishing. Now, the carp that are in the tailwaters, the big head carp and the silver carp, not supposed to be here.
Right.
We had a little chat with the kids about that as well while they were here. Let's talk about that kind of fish, which absolutely is really good canned. Now, they have some little fine bones that cans just fine.
Right.
When you can them and you cook them under pressure, those bones just dissolve. So let's take a look at some of the equipment that we use for that, and we'll show you that real quick and visit with the kids for just a second. Sammy, what do you think this arrow's for?
Shooting
Shooting what?
fish.
Shooting fish. Now, you know what? A lot of people get their dinner different ways. Sometimes we go to the store and get our dinner. Sometimes we raise our vegetables here. Sometimes other people raise our vegetables. Sometimes we hunt in the woods and I bring home a deer and we have deer recipes, or we'll
right.
quail hunt. Sometimes I take this bow and arrow with this funny looking end. See that right there? That's got a barb on it. So when I see a great big fish and I want to shoot that fish, look right here, Sammy. That right there goes through the fish and then this barb holds it. So I push my little button right here, I pull my bow back. Grandma, hold that if you will. Now, because, I'll have to do this sideways, but because I only have the use of my one arm or my motorcycle rack, I shoot the bow like this. Grab it with my teeth, pull back, and release by opening my mouth. Now, we are going down to Barkley to get some of these fish, And we're also going to talk about these in the next couple of weeks, how good they are to actually eat. Now they have a bad stigma because they have the name carp at the end. But these are not an indigenous species. They've been introduced accidentally into this country. Now they're wreaking havoc. So the more that we can get out of the water, the better. So here's a shot of me shooting a fish, a big one. Watch this. This is how this works.
Look, biggest fish I've ever stuck. Dude, it's a hog. It's not even right. This may be the biggest fish I've ever stuck with an arrow. I can't even hardly believe how big this fish is. Never in my life seen such a fish. All right, let me explain what just happened here. Our goal today was to come to Barkley, find one of those invasive species of bighead carp, and try to find one. And what my goal was, and still is to take one of these things home and clean it and try different recipes on it, because there's enough meat on one for 4 or 5 meals. Because if a person could learn to utilize this meat, it would be a heck, oh, there's a huge one right there. It would be a great way to get a bunch of fish in the freezer. I don't know how much this fish weighs, but it's almost as big as I am. Have you ever seen anything like that in your life? Okay, all right, that's ridiculous.
So this was a fish that I shot down below Barkley. There are millions of them down there. Nikki and I went down there a couple weeks ago, and here's some pictures of some of the fish that we shot. Here's a little bit of video of me shooting, so on and so forth. It's absolutely legal to shoot any rough fish species. I could shoot a gar, and they're a native species. I could shoot a spotted gar. I could shoot any kind of gar, but I'm not going to do that. These are the only thing I will shoot right now and let back to die. Because again, they're an invasive species and they're really messing up fisheries all over the United States. So I don't ever shoot anything that is indigenous to Kentucky anymore. Only the invasive species. There's also grass carp in here, which is another invasive species that have taken off. So these fish are good to eat, and we're going to talk about that in just a little while. It's amazing how many millions and millions of these fish that are there. They're not supposed to be there. So biologists are trying to figure out how to get these out of our waterways. Now the thing about these fish there's not a whole lot of meat on them. They're mostly head, but the meat that is there, because they're plankton strainers, they open up their mouth and they eat the plankton in the water, the zooplankton. So the fish meat is really white and really clean, and it's tasty. We did it 3 ways. Brian Vollen and I did, his producer for Kentucky Field when I worked over there. We tried it 3 different ways. It was absolutely wonderful. We'll talk to somebody here in the next week or so about that. But we had fun down there, didn't we, Grandma?
We did.
What did you think about that, seeing that for the first time?
I would not want to fall in the water, I'll tell you that. But I enjoyed watching you shoot the fish.
Wasn't it amazing?
You got one every shot, yes, that was fun.
How many there were?
That was fun.
So maybe one day you can help me shoot some fish, both of you. Would you like to shoot a fish someday?
Yeah.
I think we can probably make that happen.
Fun.
We'll talk about canning fish. There are no shortcuts here. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing. Your jars have to be clean and ready to go. Your lids have to be ready to go. So this is a Presto 16-quart pressure cooker. Fish has to be cooked a little longer. There's no shortcuts here. For a pint, and a pint is enough. Some people recommend that you don't do quarts. We've done them, but I am only going to do pints from here on out. That's enough fish for a setting. That's enough fish for a chowder.
Right.
That's enough fish to make sandwiches with, whatever you want to do. Tonight, we're going to do pints. 3 pounds of fish. Now, after doing this a whole lot, I figured out that 3 pounds of fish
Fills it up.
gets about 4 jars. Right. That's the minimum that you want to put in a 16-quart pressure cooker.
Right.
You want to do 4. So I'm heating the water up. I'm going to take my fish. Now you can soak this if you would like. You can soak this in pickling salt and rinse it off. Or you can take a little bit of salt and put in each container. Now under that pressure, it really cooks that salt and a little bit of pepper. It really cooks that flavor in. So I'm raw packing, which means I'm taking the pieces of meat, and I'm just packing them as tightly as I can into these jars, raw packing. What I want to do is push it down in there, get as much of the air pockets out as I possibly can. So we're just going to continue to cut this up in pieces.
If there's any bones, they'll just kind of
Yeah,
disintegrate, don't they?
unless there's some great big bones, which we've checked these for that. So with the raw packing, you want about an inch of headspace. But I'm also going to take just a little bit, now this is pickling salt, just a little bit of salt. A little bit in the top. A little bit goes a long way. A little bit of pepper. Just gives it a nice flavor. Don't have to use much. Really, really, really gives it a nice flavor. Okay, so I'm going to take just a little bit of vinegar. I'm going to wipe that top off. Make sure there's nothing obstructing that lid. Put the lid on. Let me get that fairly tight. You notice I put 0 liquid in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now when the jar is finished, there will be liquid in
right.
there. It cooks that liquid out of it. And I'm going to continue to do this for 4 jars. Now when this comes out, it's flaky, it's salty. It's got a good consistency. Next step, place our jars into the canner. You never want your water in your canner to be 2/3 full. You have to be real careful about that. I put a little extra water in this because of the amount of time that it takes to cook these.
Right.
Where deer or beef or chicken would be less time, you have to go with fish 100 minutes. That's 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at here. Now, a couple things you got to remember. Make sure your liner has no irregularities. Make sure that it's supple.
Right.
Make sure that it's not dry rotted, because a lot of times people wait 2 or 3 years before they use it.
Yeah.
Check that for sure. Also check your vent hole. That's the most important thing. Now this may seem strange, but you can blow through that. Make sure you can see through that. Make sure that that can vent. What happens if that can't vent?
Got an explosion.
Pressure cooker? You don't need
Through
that.
the ceiling.
So what we're going to do is we've checked all that. We're going to check the top. Get it on here. Okay, we're going to line our arrows up. We're going to seal this. Now you heard a little bit of pressure coming out there as well. Next is your weight. And you have to weight. W-A-I-T on your weight. W-E-I-G-H-T. This is 5 pounds. And each little ring is an additional 5 pounds of weight per pressure.
Right.
Now the thing about it is, if you are in an elevation above 1,000 feet, check your book. Check your book. We are not. So 10 pounds of pressure means 1 ring. Now I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until I see steam coming out. Now once steam is coming out for about 10-15 minutes, it's already starting to bubble. Once the steam comes out for 10-15 minutes, then we place the jiggler, the weight on top.
Right.
Once it starts jiggling, that's when you start your timer for 100 minutes or 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Okay.
All right, it's time for the jiggler. See how that instantly popped up?
Yeah.
It's ready.
Okay,
It's
good.
ready. It's now under pressure. Now, underneath that weight, enough pressure will eventually build so it'll start that to move.
Yeah.
And that'll be just enough pressure to where that rocks gently instead of blowing it through the
Right.
roof,
That's not
which
good.
we don't want.
No.
Now, you can do this with salmon, you can do this with trout, but I'm telling you what, out of all the fish that I've had, I almost think that the big head, you've had it.
Oh yeah.
When Jim Doom, now he takes and makes like a tuna fish salad out of it, except with big head carp. It's
Right.
absolutely delicious.
We used crackers and we dipped. We made it like dip.
It's wonderful.
That's good.
Our jiggler is jigging.
That's what you want, right?
Our weight is functioning properly. This pops up in the early part. That makes all the steam come here.
Okay.
That's adequately applying 10 pounds of pressure. And we are on our way. Now, let's go sit down and have some lemonade.
Okay.
1 hour and 40 minutes. Okay, our hour and 40 minutes is up. We're going to turn this off. What'll happen, this will gradually die down. Our little indicator will pop down. At that point, your pressure is off enough so you can safely take the lid off. Now, I have seen people, old timers, they lift this up on the edge and
My
let a
dad
little bit
used to do that, yeah.
let a little steam off
Yeah.
here, let a little
Make
steam off
quicker.
there. I think it's better just to let it do its own thing.
Yeah.
When this pops down again, you won't hear the internal noises of the pan and all the boiling, and you're safe to take the lid off.
Yeah.
But don't push it. Don't push it. We got plenty of time. All right, now we're casually keeping some water warm over here for our next project. All these things that we're doing tonight, we're gonna end up with one final product.
Yay.
You bake some bread today? That's a hint. Here's our fish. It doesn't look that appetizing. You say, oh man, I want some of that. But when you take the lid off
delicious.
and you taste it, it's absolutely wonderful. Again, that little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper really flavors that up, and it makes wonderful, you would call it tuna salad, but it's whatever it might be.
Right.
Big head salad. All right, so we're heating some water up. We're gonna set our fish out of the way. Let me give you the recipe for this, and you can see as we go along what we're doing here. We're gonna take roughly 5 decent sized tomatoes. We're gonna cut those up, cube those up in little small cubes. Think about pickle relish, that's what we're making. Then we're gonna do our sweet peppers. We're gonna do a half of the red, half of the green, and half of the yellow. And a good solid half an onion at least. Then we're gonna do 2 cups of cabbage, roughly. We're gonna take 1 cucumber. I'm gonna leave the skin on. I'm gonna split it up into 4 pieces, then I'll let you chop that up. Now those are the vegetables that we're putting into this. We're gonna sprinkle them with our salt, 1½ tablespoons of pickling salt. We're gonna mix that all up and refrigerate overnight. After that sets all night, we're gonna take that out, we're gonna drain it, and we're gonna rinse it. Then we're gonna take our dry ingredients and mix with 1/3 cup of water and about 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 3/4 tablespoon of turmeric, and 1½ teaspoon of mustard seed. We're gonna do 3/4 tablespoon of celery seed. We're gonna boil, bring that to a boil. After it comes to a boil, bring it back a little bit, put your sugar in, bring the boil back up. We got 1 cup and 1/4 of sugar. At that point, put all your vegetables in, all your ingredients are together. Bring it to a boil, just for a few minutes, and then boom.
Ready to go.
Into the jars, into the hot bath for 10 minutes. This is not
That's
pressure
quick.
cooking, this is hot bathing. 10 minutes. Now the thing that keeps this on the shelf longer is vinegar and sugar and salt. So 3 months, I would say. This will be all gone in 3 months. But again, this is not pressure cooked. Now the fish, I would say easy, a year on that. Some people have gone a lot longer. On meats, we eat our canned goods within the year.
Right.
That's just us. We're not looking for a world record shelf length. We're looking for food that's ready to go, and we use it rather quickly. We got a boil going on over here and have had for a few minutes. We're gonna take this, and make sure you get equal amounts of juice per jar, so mix it up real good. You smell that?
It smells good. The whole kitchen smells good right
You know
now.
what? I remember when my mom and all the ladies from church would get together, and it'd be corn one week, and sometimes she just did stuff herself.
Yeah.
But I remember the smell of her doing chow chow and just the corn. I remember shucking the corn and cracking the beans. Oh, I hated doing it at the time. Now it seems like such good memories. Only about a 1/2 inch headspace needed here.
It smells so good in here.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah, it smells wonderful.
Now each one of these, I'll take just a little bit of vinegar on a paper towel and wipe that lid off so there's no obstructions. These go directly into the hot bath. 10 minutes.
This is so simple, isn't it?
It
After
is
all
so
the cutting up's the hard part, but
Now when I'm hot bathing, I want my water just to barely cover those jars.
Right.
When you're pressure cooking, they do not have to be covered.
okay.
All right, so now Mrs. Farmer, we got a 10-minute wait. Let's clean this up. Let's come back
I'm hungry.
with a nice little sandwich.
Yay.
All right.
It's pretty nice.
Look at that. And these pints go a long way. And I put a little bit of clear vinegar in the water before we start. That keeps
Yeah.
the film from building up on the side of those.
I think they're pretty to decorate with. I like how they look.
Beautiful. And the
Lovely.
house smells so
It
good.
does. It smells so good.
So where are we at? We have relish.
Yes.
We have fish. We have bread. And we have a dill pickle spear, which would make a wonderful companion for a sandwich,
Yes, it would. Can we have one?
as Sammy would say. So what we're going to do, Mrs. Farmer, is cut some of our bread. If you'll hold that. What do you think? About like that?
Yeah. Nice thin piece of bread. Looks good.
Nothing like fairly fresh bread. All right, there's our 2 pieces of bread, Mrs. Farmer.
Okay.
Now, if you will, do the honors there. This is fresh.
Smells.
We had the same idea, we
both.
about bumped heads.
Smells good.
So we have our relish right here. All right, so we're gonna take our fish and we're gonna simply pour off the juice.
All right.
Unless you want to drink that fish juice, Mrs. Farmer, you can,
No, thank you.
if you'd like. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna say about half of that.
We might
you know
eat
what?
it.
Make the whole salad.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
we
You
should.
know what? Let's
I'll
do
eat
it.
it.
Let's
I'm
do
hungry.
it. Let's eat on that for a couple of days. So
Starving.
I'm gonna simply break this up.
Can I try a little piece?
Yes, you can. It smells heavenly.
I could eat it just like that.
I'm telling you. And you know,
Wow.
say you're out and about, you're camping,
Oh yeah.
and you want a quick snack, you got your protein, you know where it came from. Look
That's
at that
good.
right there. So we're gonna come back with our green tomato relish. What do you think?
That looks pretty
Is that
good.
enough?
Mm-hmm. Looks delish.
Okay, Ms. Farmer, go ahead and start with the mayo. So basically, however you would make your tuna salad, now I like a lot of mayonnaise, and Nikki does too.
I do.
What if we took a little more relish and put it right across the top of that, Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Would that
and
hurt
how
your
about a
feelings?
nice piece of lettuce
Nice
here
piece
too?
of bib lettuce to put on top of there? You kidding me? Oh, I think
Nice and big.
absolutely.
That's a good
You know what?
looking
I'm going to
sandwich.
hand you this knife, Mrs.
Cut it in
Farmer.
half?
You can cut it in
Share?
half.
Look how pretty.
All right, Mrs. Farmer.
Wow. That's really good. Nice fresh bread too. That's so good.
Another thing, Mrs. Farmer. You want to make a dip for guests? Boom, look right here.
Good idea. Take that, sit in front of the TV,
You're right.
have a snack. Thank you.
It has been a long day,
Yes, it has.
but a rewarding day.
Yes.
That being said, we have so many recipes like this.
Yes,
And if you wanted to find them, where would you go, Mrs. Farmer?
I go to timfarmerscountrykitchen.com.
I would go to timfarmerscountrykitchen.com, and if you will, hit that red dot.
That's right.
Guess what happens? Anytime we have a new video, it comes directly to you. And our Facebook page is growing and growing, and we
Yes,
want
it
you
is.
there to share with us. Where would you go? How would you do it? Is it hard?
It's not hard. You hit like.
Oh, wow. That's too easy. All right, let's eat the rest of our sandwich. We'll split the pickle. But
Okay.
before we do that, let's let everybody know it's all about
Good times.
good friends.
Really good eats.
We'll see you next week on Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. Oh, did you hear that pop? It's done.
To order a cookbook, email timfarmerck@gmail.com.